welcome. So I am just going to do a little video for my advisees so that they can learn how to navigate the ME Plan spreadsheet. Hopefully this will help you navigate your own curriculum and be sort of in charge of planning. So I have opened up the link that I shared with each of you. So this is my generic version of the one that I sent to each of you. When you open it up in the SharePoint or the Office.com or the OneDrive or however you've accessed it, you should see something like this. It could look like this or some other thing. Some of the scrolling is weird sometimes. Hopefully you have Excel installed. If not, go ahead and get it from Office.com, log in, and you can download the desktop app on Windows or Mac or whatever you're using. Then you'll be able to click this link here, open in desktop app. So I'll click that. And it's opened it up in Excel on my computer. So now this is local, but it's synced to the version that's on the web. So edits that happen locally here will get pushed up to the web as long as you save. Notice that the save button has this sort of sync look to it, and that is this saving to the cloud feature. So this is where you're going to want to open it up and take a look at it. Okay, so first off, let's take a little tour of this spreadsheet. The first thing to note is that on the far left column here, we have the different programs, like the core program, so like the general education, the pre-ME program, which is the math and science and the general engineering requirements together, and the ME requirements, which are the courses that every mechanical engineering major must take, and they're listed all here. And then we get down into the engineering electives, mechanical engineering electives. So these courses are listed. There are a lot of them. They're not offered every term. So when you're planning, keep that in mind. Just because you want to take machine intelligence in a given term doesn't mean that it's going to be offered in that term. So keep that in mind as you're doing your planning. Graduate courses are also included in the ME electives. They do count for ME electives. It actually is the first 6 credits of graduate courses can count towards your ME electives and towards an MS degree, a Master of Science in Mechanical Engineering degree. So if you're going to do that, the 4+1 program, you can keep track of things here with that progress as well. You can take up to 12 credits as an undergraduate that'll count towards your master's program. 6 of them can also count for the ME electives, 6 of those credits. So I also have some common minors here. The EE minor, the physics minor, and the math minor. Notice when I hover over these cells that have the little blue icon on the upper right of them, there's a little comment there. So I have put a comment here. So some of these classes, there's a little bit of a caveat involved. So, or like I recommend it, or the math minor, you can see that it requires only 2 additional courses to get a math minor when you're an ME major. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. So we also have the concentrations, and so the ME electives have across from them which ones check off different concentrations. So for instance, the finite element analysis course, FEA, ME 404, it satisfies both you can sort of scroll over, and you can see it satisfies the intelligent dynamic systems and also the numerical methods concentrations. And notice how I've frozen these cells, the top cells and the side left cells, so that you can keep track of where you are when you're scrolling around. But if you try to scroll when you're hovering over those sidebars, it won't scroll in that direction, so keep that in mind. You got to be hovering over this if you're using a scrolling mouse. So yeah, okay. Another thing on these, notice that it has this scheduled bar and taken bar. So for each of these programs, sometimes there's a sub-splitting of them. I have, when you've scheduled this this part of the program, this bar fills up. So when you come over here and you say, okay, Core 100 first year seminar, everybody's got to take that unless they come in with enough transfer credits. And the caveats about that, you can see I put some of the language in from the catalog here regarding that. So it's 4 credits. The 1, 2, and 3 here, and these 3 columns in the different shading, is to sort of denote that this is where you're going to be doing most of your interacting with the notebook. So this is where you're going to enter data. Okay, so these 3 columns. So the first year seminar, Core 100, is planned to, I have that as default because everybody's got to do it. And you can plan it in a given term. So if you, so plan to, you can use the drop down here. You can say, okay, I haven't planned it yet. Okay. I've already taken it, or I plan to take it. And the next column over is the term. So if you plan to take it, you can say in, and it's kind of annoying with this drop down with the hover thing, so you have to kind of move it around a little to get that to go away. The drop down cell here gives you the different possible terms. There's a transfer term, so maybe you're a transfer student and what you've transferred in satisfies the Core 100 seminar, which I think is if you've taken 20 credits elsewhere and you're not a Running Start student or something like that, you can select trans for the term that you took it. So this denotes that you took it before, or you satisfy the requirements from the fact that you're a transfer student. Older means that if it's not listed here, so say you took it in 2017, you can just say older if it's not listed as an option for a term. And then the terms here, so 2019 fall, 2020 spring, 2020 summer, these are the different years and terms, semesters that you can keep track of when you're taking these things. So there you go. So say you took Core 101 in fall 2019. You can also enter the grade that you got. This will help you track your GPA. So say you got an A in it. Your grade point will be 4.0. It'll also keep track of the credits that you've received. So credits planned, credits received. Once you've gone from plan to true, you've taken it. These are the credits that you have received. And so on and so forth. You can continue to fill in your planned courses and your grades as you get them back. If you go down to the bottom here, you'll see that it keeps track of what is the last term that you have planned. Okay, so say you've got it's all filled out, and your last term is supposed to be maybe 2024 spring or something like that. That will show up here automatically. It keeps track of which one is the last one in this column. Your GPA is automatically calculated based on the grades that you've entered above, and total credits that you've planned, and total credits that you've received, so you've completed, and the sum of the two, planned or received. The prerequisites, the co-requisites, and the co-prerequisites are included on the sheet, and this is a really nice feature of this spreadsheet. So there's not a lot of prerequisite structure to the core courses. It's encouraged that you take them sort of in sequence to some extent, Core 100s, Core 200s, Core 300s, as you progress, but they don't have a strict prerequisite structure to them. Now, as everyone is probably a little bit familiar with, the math and science requirements, the general engineering requirements, and the mechanical engineering requirements, and also the mechanical engineering electives have a pretty strict prerequisite, co-prerequisite structure. So let's remind ourselves what these are. So a prerequisite is a course that you have to have successfully completed before you can take a given course. So for instance, Calculus 2 here, if you scroll over, Math 172, Calculus 2, you see that its prerequisite is Math 171, which is Calculus 1. So you can't take Calculus 2 without having successfully completed Calculus 1. In almost all cases, you have to have completed it with at least a C- or better. So most of these prerequisites require that you have at least a C-. So keep that in mind. So maybe you filled this out, and I didn't do a check on the grade that you got. So what I have a check on is, say you have Calculus 2 planned, or sorry, Calculus 1 planned, maybe, let's see, maybe spring 2021, you've planned it. And you're like, well, I want to take Calculus 2 also in spring 2021. Well, that does not meet the prerequisite of Math 171 being done, Calculus 1 being done before that term that you take it. So it'll go away from being highlighted as red if you make it in a term that's after. So fall 2021 is going to be after the spring term, so therefore your prerequisite red highlight will go away. So that is a good thing. So if you go through your schedule and you see, oh, okay, I've got some red over here in my prereqs, coreqs, or co-prereqs, that's an issue. So prerequisites are pretty clear. They have to be completed successfully before you take the course. Co-requisites are courses that are required to be taken at the same time. There aren't that many of them, but they're mostly lab courses. So you have to take the 300 ME300 lab, manufacturing processes lab, at the same time that you take ME300, the manufacturing processes class. Okay, so those are co-requisites. You can't take one without the other in a given term. Co-prerequisites are prerequisites that you can also take simultaneously. You have to either take a certain class before you take this class or at the same time. And those also show up sometimes. Like you can take the thermodynamics class, ME340, at the same time that you take differential equations. Or you could take differential equations even earlier. But you can't take differential equations after. So you have to at least be taking it during thermodynamics. So that's what a co-prerequisite is. So so we've got these different courses. You can schedule them in here, and so say we've got those scheduled. Let's say we want to come down and plan our statics class, and say our statics class we are going to want to take. Maybe let's try taking it spring 2021. Well, we can't take it spring 2021 because Calculus 1 and Physics 1 aren't going to be met by then. We're taking Calculus 1 in spring 2021. So we have to move it up, so we can move it up to, say we try to do summer. That's good. It meets the Calc 1 because Calc 1 is going to be taken in the spring. However, Physics 171 hasn't been scheduled beforehand. So we have to go back to Physics 171 and schedule it. Let's take it 2021 spring as well. Now that prerequisite warning is gone. So we're good. We're good. Okay, so you kind of go through, you plan out your different terms. Now, if you want to see, okay, so which classes have I selected for a given term? It's kind of hard to see when you look at this big list. For a given term, what have I chosen? If you go here to the tab, so there are these different sheets here. So if you go to this sheet, it has the courses that you've planned for a given term. So spring 2021, we've planned Calculus 1 and Physics 1 to be taken. total number of credits in that term is 9. We got to be careful. We can't plan more than 18 credits in a semester. If you're like at 19 or 20, sometimes you can get an exception, but you should be careful, especially of going over. Under 12 credits is also not full time, so that might be a concern. You can usually throw in some core courses or something like that to meet the 12 if you're a little light on a given semester. That usually won't be the problem though. You can also, if you wanted to have a more detailed specific term schedule, you can come to the third sheet or tab and you can say, okay, I want to see all of the courses listed with the titles and numbers and credits and all that for a given term. So spring 2021, we've scheduled a couple different courses, and we see Calc 1 and Physics 1 listed, the number of credits they have, and the terms credit total. So this is the term schedule. Courses in a given term breakdown is here, and the master sheet is here. So you're mostly going to be interacting with this by filling out which term you plan to take these different classes in, and then looking and seeing, okay, for instance, just based on the planned or scheduled courses, the math minor is actually 74% scheduled already, because and I haven't scheduled anything other than the required math and science requirements for the ME major. This is why math minor is pretty easy to get for an ME major, because a lot of these lower level, well, these math and science requirements count towards the math minor. Some of them also count towards the physics minor as well. So that one takes 3 extra classes, I think. So if you go down here and you say, okay, it's 74% scheduled. What's this next bar over here? So 0% taken is what this column says. So if I was to come back up here, and let's say that it is now summer 2021, and I can say, okay, I've taken it. I can enter my grade in, like I got, an A, because that's all I ever get is A's, right? That's all you ever get. And so it's true now. So once you've taken it and marked it as taken, then that bar on the taken bar actually increases. So there's the planned bar, and then there's the taken bar. It's a percentage. When it fills up, you've met that program's requirements. The EE minor, there's a bar for tracking that. ME electives, you got to pick 12 credits. You don't have to do a concentration, but you can. So this sub-program here, the Ora et Labora, for the core, you have to take 2 of these courses. One has to be a writing intensive version, so it has to have a W denotation on it, and that's going to be with 4 credits. So say when you're looking to register for these, say you say, I'm going to take 310 in, I'll plan to take it in the summer of 2021. Say you're going to do summer. I don't know how many of these are offered in the summer, but say that was. And then you're going to plan to take the 320 in fall 2023. That's fine. Notice that you're only 86% scheduled, but you only need to take 2. One of these has to be worth 4 credits. So yet one of them is the writing intensive one, has a W on it when you register. It'll be worth 4 credits. So that one in this plan, you have to change whichever one you're taking as a W to 4 credits. So maybe you're doing 320 W. So you're going to want to change that from 3 to 4 credits. And now I've scheduled 100% of that. Once I've taken them, I turn them from plan to true, and I enter my grade in. From plan to true, enter my grade in, and I'll have taken 100% of that sub-program, as we've been calling it. So yeah, so that's our spreadsheet. That's the ME plan. I think it's really going to help you orient yourselves in terms of which classes to take when and to get a good plan. The most challenging ones to plan for are the electives. You don't necessarily have to plan specifically which ones you're going to take, but it does in advance. So you're going to take 6 electives. So you might just say, well, I don't know which ones are going to be offered in which semester. I know which ones I want, maybe, or which ones I might be interested in. But when the schedule comes out, then you can choose them and plan accordingly. And you might then be able to track, okay, I need a certain number of more credits for the concentration. The concentration tallies are also taken into account here, where we sum the credits. So if we've planned 2 credits of design and entrepreneurship concentration, 2 credits of intelligent systems concentration, and then these are the credit numbers for the different minors, and then the final one is for the MSME, the 4+1 program, how many credits you've planned of that. So notice the last term has been updated here. So 2024 is the last term that we've scheduled for. So that'll be the last term that will be showing up here in this box. So you can figure out when you're graduating, and you can tell everyone when you're going to be an engineer. So this is the ME plan spreadsheet. When you scroll around, try not to get too confused. Zoom out a little bit so you can sort of see the whole thing. Remember, it's these 1, 2, 3 columns where you're going to actually be entering data, and everything else gets auto-calculated for you and auto-highlighted if there's an issue with prerequisites or co-requisites or whatever. So, all right. I'll do a separate video for the transfer students for the specific concerns about transfer credits. We'll talk about that. All right. Take care.